Eddyville Raceway fans, it's back. The second annual Nitro Chaos drag races return Friday night and Saturday, June 3rd and 4th, presented by Twisted Shifters and 360 Steel. 2 days of nitro-powered, ground-pounding action in the world's only heads-up, run-what-you-brung, all-nitro burnin' showdown. This is the one you've been waiting for. So come on! Visit NitroChaos.com for event details. June 3rd and 4th at Eddyville Raceway Park, and you just gotta be there.
Yes, you have got to be there because it was absolutely outstanding last year, and Nitro Chaos 2.0 is upon us. But, David, we've got a lot to talk about from, well, Penwell Knights and looking into Nitro Chaos and a little bit of that famous place called Cordova. How you doing, David?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been a bit of recovery time from our experience out at West Texas, and boy, has it been great to think about and relive that. We had a grand time with so many people out there, and there's so many old friends. You know, when you go out there and you begin to meet people, and people like Ray Stringer, for example, and you wind up enjoying going out there so much, and we just had a big time. Man, I don't know if that was your first time. I think it was your first time ever to be out there, but it was 107 degrees when we got there. It was 57 degrees when we left. And that's West Texas.
It is. And I've been out through that part of the country before, but to have, 3-4 days in the area and experience those changes, that was fascinating. I thought we were almost close to a dust out instead of a rain out. That was new for sure. But what a great facility Penwell Knights Raceway is. It is a gym in West Texas of a drag racing facility, and it was great to experience that, see that. The staff does a great job, and with everything that could have gone wrong, well, it didn't, and we had a great event out there, and Funny Car Chaos was a good show, and we have someone in like Kirk Williams. Well, he's steamrolling now, and we've got a brand new winner, and we'll talk with him later in just a few moments. And Clay Cunningham able to come back under some challenging circumstances and get it done in the C field. So plenty of storylines out of the race there at Penwell Knights Raceway.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Kirk Williams, as you mentioned, he turned the hat trick, and he's got 3 wins in a row. And about the only thing he didn't accomplish was he did have 1 run in the 390s. Everything else was 380s. And that kind of followed up from State Capitol Raceway, where everything was in the 370s. So they have definitely found their mojo out there in the land of mojo, for people that know what that means out there on the Friday Night Lights part of the country. But yeah, and the local boy, Alan Bradshaw, who I just saw is heading out to drive one of those back-motored nitro cars on the Lucas circuit coming up this weekend. Came in as the runner-up there in Funny Car, and he had what would have to be called a successful outing. And, of course, we are at the halfway point of the season, and at that point, it's really a good time to pause and reflect and say, okay, where are we halfway through the season in terms of points? And of course, your top 10, as we're having another Funny Car Chaos coming up in a couple of weeks. However, the next points race is, a little over a month away. But Kirk Williams, number 1 in points. Tom Furches, 2nd in points. And then 3rd, Jeff Cameron, Smiley Cordero 4th, and Donald Knobloch in the 5th. And we began to notice all the F bodies at the top of the list, all 5 Firebirds. Top 3 are Firebirds, and then 4 and 5 are Camaros. 6 through 10, you've got Jade Cook, you got Dustin Bradford, you got Jordan Ballou, you got Chuck Lofton and Clay Cunningham. And so there's not there's a whole lot of people that are close to that top 10, and we have to draw a line somewhere and say, okay, we'll talk about this. But that's your top 10, and it has gotten very, very competitive at the top to see who's actually going to have an opportunity to run for that big top 5, the championship that we pay out at the end of the year.
So, David, no shock that Kirk Williams is near the top and actually at the top. We all expected him to have a stellar year, and it definitely is fascinating to see some of the new players such as Smiley Cordero doing so well, Don Knobloch. What about Tom Furchess? Is he someone in the FCC ranks that it doesn't shock you where he sits right now in number 2, or should we look at that and go, wow, they have really improved? You know, anyone coming in and following along with Funny Car Chaos for the first time?
Well, those who have been following it, just since last year, Tom had made, he kind of dabbled in Funny Car Chaos, starting off early on back in 2018 when he made his first appearance at Emerald Dragway, and things are what things are, and you do what you're accustomed to doing. But when the Made in America crew came into Ennis in 2021 and found their way to the winner's circle in that D field, and then followed it up with a win in Amarillo for the second race of the year, they established themselves as, maybe we should pay attention to this particular team, because we had seen flashes of brilliance, and but we hadn't seen enough of them to go, these guys do it. These guys do it on a week in and week out basis. Now we had talked to Tom before when we interviewed him, and of course he's got a Central States Superchargers championship or 2 under his belt, so it's not like they are strangers to championship drag racing. They have most definitely proven themselves capable of getting in the winner's circle, but in Funny Car Chaos, they really established themselves last year with that big top 5 finish, and just came out this year unassuming, not a lot of fanfare, just consistently going down the racetrack A to B, which is what you have to do. And when you're running a funny car, you're not necessarily going to go A to B every single time, but the consistency of Tom Furchess, and they're second place in points and doing very, very well. So anyway, it's not a surprise to those who are paying attention, but for those who are just now tuning in to Funny Car Chaos, it may be, who's this Furchess guy? Well, this Furchess guy is for real. He and his team continue to demonstrate that week in and week out. So they have got, let's see, they're between Kirk Williams and Jeff Cameron. There's one right there that Jeff Cameron comes up to number 3. And it's been consistent late round performances that have got that crew smiling at the end of the races. And I think that they feel themselves just on the cusp of having what they need to consider themselves capable of being in the winner's circle every single time. We've seen some interesting smoke signals coming out of that car. They experience some damage. That happens in funny car races. That happens when you're racing this much horsepower, going this quick and going this fast. There's going to be things that happen. And, that team out of Fayetteville, Texas has experienced some of that. But it's like, it reminds me a little bit of Bum Phillips talking about the Houston Oilers back when he was coaching all there. For years and years, they were knocking on that door. And you had to get through Pittsburgh if you were going to win the AFC. And Bum Phillips and his group, they were knocking on the door. He made the comment one time that this year we're going to kick that door in. And I know that Jeff Cameron and his team are probably feeling right about that way right now.
I would guarantee it, David. In the interviews I've had with Jeff, there is that sense. They are knocking on the door, and they are right there. Remember, he was number 1 qualifier for the A field there at in Baton Rouge at State Capitol Raceway. So he did take that number 1 spot away from Kirk Williams there in the second race of the year. And I expect whatever gremlins they have, when they're all shot dead and out of the trailer and nowhere near the car, we're going to see that Jake Speed Shop funny car pick up the win for sure. Well, David, look, let's talk very quickly about who we have lined up for tonight and get our first guest on.
All right. Well, we have got Danny Smith coming on. Danny, of course, he has this was his first race in Funny Car Chaos in 2022, not his first Funny Car Chaos event, as we have seen him a handful of times before. But we have seen Danny before, and he's got a beautiful race car. And but this particular time, everything seemed to be all the stars seemed to line up, and this gentleman, will find out more about his background, but he was doing another one of those consistent performances, just like we've seen from some of our other winners who consistently come out, go A to B, and put a good number down every single time. And Danny Smith really made quite an impression out there at Penwell Nights Raceway, and took home the Alkydigger B field win. So we are looking forward to hearing what Danny has to share with us, because it's a very, very interesting story, and we can't wait to share it with all of you out there in Chaos Live land.
And then we have let's get it right. Let's get it right. What is their last name there?
Gallegos.
Gallegos. There we go. Which, I have got to get right again in my mind, because I'm interviewing people at the PDRA, and there's someone with a very similar spelled last name, and he pronounces it completely different in the Pro Mod ranks. And I'm like, oh no, here I go in this show. But yes, we're going to have Dave and his son on. We're going to be chatting with them and Nitro Clown Motorsports. They've got the Alter, they've got the funny car trim, and from what I understand, David, they have been around for a very long time in this chaos movement.
They have. They were at the very first Funny Car Chaos race that there ever was, and they had just bought a car from California. That's the car that they continue to run, and they came out first race ever and ran 420s off the trailer, and they've experienced their ups and downs. They got their first win at one of the hottest days in the history of Funny Car Chaos down at Pine Valley Raceway, and that was a day of if you could survive to make the final, because it was way over 100 and about 98% humidity. It was a challenging day, to say the least, but Team Nitro Clown found themselves in the winner's circle, and that was their first trip to the winner's circle in Funny Car Chaos competition. So they've got a great story, and we're looking forward to sharing that one with everybody too.
All right, David, we're going to take a look at Danny's race there at Penwell Nights Raceway, and then right after that recap, we're going to have Danny Smith on, and we'll be chatting with him about the win and his program and everything he's got going on in the funny car world. Danny Smith, man, welcome to Chaos Live, presented by Wulff Pumps. Congratulations on the win, and we're so glad to have you right here at this moment.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Danny, we are very enthusiastic in our congratulations for you, because it was your race, man. You came down, and we've talked about this with other racers before. You've got a history in bracket racing, and sometimes we talk about showing up and making it run like a bracket car. Well, that's your history, but man, your car at 429 qualified number one in the Alkydigger B field, and then goes 430 twice. and in first and second round eliminations. You had that funny car repeating, and tell us about your outing there at Odessa.
Well, didn't start off so good. Q1, due to the burnout, couldn't back up. Same thing that happened to Jade, some wiring. We found it within a few minutes of getting back to the pits, but I didn't want to go back to the back of the line. We'd just wait for Q2. That's kind of unsettling driving that far and then that happening. But we come back out for Q2 and it run good. We just kept tuning for the conditions. We didn't do anything other than that. We weren't trying to set the world on fire. We were just trying to be conservative, keep the car in one piece. Come back for Q3 and it was a little off. I think it was a 32, but I couldn't have asked for anything better. We go up first round, run a 30, second round, run a 30. And then I think the only reason we would have been real close to that in the finals, except that it shook really hard at the top end and I had to pedal. Other than that, that was the only thing I think that went wrong as far as conditions or timing or anything else. I think we would have been right on the money again. But yeah, we're just a bracket car. We race at Bandimere in Fast 16, show up once in a while to Chaos. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've got, you run this car. How long have you been running this funny car?
I've had it for 5 years now. Took me a couple of years to put it together. And the strange part is I bought it from a guy in Waco. And this is where it gets kind of weird. Last year at Kearney, Robert Slaughter was helping me. Well, Robert Slaughter's friend in Waco had him go and pick up this same car in Canada a year prior to me buying it from him. And I took 2 years putting everything together, just taking my time. And then we come out in 2020 and just started playing with it. And we literally just bracket race it. That's all we do. And come and see you guys once in a while. So first time I was supposed to race Ken Singleton at Kearney and the delay box didn't hold. So I shot down the track. Second time I went to the semifinals and raced Nancy in the semifinals at San Antonio. This time we went all the way. So it's been kind of fun. Really has.
It doesn't get a lot more fun than going 3 runs and eliminations and getting having all the pictures made with the trophy and the money, right?
Yeah, that was a little overwhelming that night. It was unreal what happened. I really couldn't believe it. And I don't think anybody else did either. Todd, who's helping me, neither one of us really believed what was happening. And couldn't ask for a more picture perfect race for us, truthfully. I went over and thanked Smiley after Q3 for knocking me down to the #1 qualifier in the B field. And I really did mean that because that was saving me, so.
Yeah, some things work out rather well, whether they look like it or not. You took home the big prize in the Alkydigger B field. So tell us about, you're from Pine, Colorado, is that right?
Correct. Yeah, up in the mountains,
southwest of Denver. And so professionally, do you work a regular job? You have your own business? What do you do?
I actually am a contractor to the federal government. I'm a building automation specialist. I've been doing HVAC for 33 years. Service, mechanical, any of that kind of stuff. About 15 years ago, I started doing programming for buildings, HVAC. And now, I'm a contractor to the government. We have 6 states under us managing the building systems throughout. Just a regular worker. I wouldn't be able to do this without my wife. This has come out of our pocket completely up until recently, and now I do have a sponsor, Track Automotive in Conifer. He's been helping. They've been great. Todd, it's just been great to work with, help me, and just the extras that we need. wouldn't have been able to make this trip without him.
That's excellent whenever you're able to get some help and do a little bit more of the fun things that you certainly enjoy doing and are having a level of success at. Now, how long have you been bracket racing?
Off and on, since the 80s, not a whole lot until the last 10 years, 12 years. But, I grew up cruising in Longmont, Colorado. It was one of the top places to cruise back then, back in the early 80s. And then, it's just playing at Vandermeer over the years. Finally, just graduating up, my last car was a rear engine dragster, a 77 former top alcohol dragster, Jerry Darian's, with the same motor in it. I raced Reese Stringer with that dragster. I've raced Tom Furches. I've raced Nick Johnson. I've raced a lot of guys with that dragster that are now in CHAOS. We were just bracket racing that for several years. And now just finally moved up to this. It's night and day. Way more fun. And it just, you can go to places like CHAOS and have a blast. You really can.
Well, that's rule number one, is when you go to Funny Car Chaos is to have fun. And we certainly are experiencing a lot of that as you've added your name to a rather distinguished list. There's not that many people that have won a Funny Car Chaos event, but that list of racers from Colorado is getting longer. It seems like every deal. You wound up in a final round in an all Colorado final in the Alkydigger class there. So the high and mighty have really been proving to be showing their mettle.
Well, we've lost two Colorado racers to Texas this year. You know them, Keith Jackson and Scott Pariso. And so the numbers are a little less now, but we're still showing up and still trying to play. So.
Now, and speaking of playing, Danny, you are performing better on the mountain, as you mentioned. You made some combination changes, and going into Penwell, were you confident that you were going to perform as well as you did after making those changes?
To be honest, I was expecting just a little bit more, and I'm happy with what we did. We tested at Vandermeer, and we've been having trouble getting it into the sixes. We went up there with a lazy tune-up and went faster than I've ever been at Vandermeer, and mile per hour and ET. By the time we left, we'd made 3 full pulls. Every time was faster and faster. The fastest pass I've made up there so far is a 680 at 204 in the quarter. That doesn't sound like a whole lot until you come up to Vandermeer and try to run it. It floored me, and now we have a car we can play with, be competitive, and I've got the sportsman tree down. I've got to work on the pro tree because I'm just not that good at it. I've got to work on that. So,
well, keep coming out, and we'll give you up to 6 opportunities per race.
Well, I plan on being at Kearney, and I'm going to try and Kearney. I get yelled at every time I say that wrong. And I hope to be at Dallas. We'll have to see how that goes.
Okay.
So, that'll be the next 2. But this weekend we're headed out to Julesburg for the Rocky Mountain Superchargers. So the oldest track in the country. So this will be fun. Oh,
no doubt. Well, we appreciate you being on the show here tonight. Oh, I wanted to ask you the name Snafu. What's I'm sure Lee was thinking that too.
I don't have an answer for that. I wanted to name it Control Freak because I'm a controls programmer for HVAC. My wife said no way, and she come up with Snafu, and I swear it fits better than anything. It really does, and you seem to love it. I've watched everything on Flow Racing, and you seem to love it too. So
I do. I actually do. That's not a word you hear a whole lot.
Definitely interesting name out there for sure amongst the funny car ranks. Controlled Freak would have been like more in line with Funny Car. That sounds like something Funny Cars would be named, but Snafu is definitely different, and it sticks.
Yes, it does. Everybody remembers that. You even come up, didn't remember my name, but you remembered Snafu. So, it does stick.
Well, I'm telling you what, dreams do come true, and we hope you are and having part of that dream come true be Funny Car Chaos. Man, thank you so much for sharing your story with us and with our fans here on Chaos Live, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one.
Definitely, and thank you guys for everything, and thank Chris and Tara. It's a great series to play with. It really is.
Well, Danny, look, thank you for your time, as David has already said, and we look forward to seeing you the next time at a Funny Car Chaos event, and hope you do well in all the other racing endeavors. We're going to move on with the show. So, folks, put in the comment section, say thanks to Danny. We're going to let him go and move on in Chaos Live. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Chaos Nation, whether you are near or far, you can finally represent Funny Car Chaos wherever you are at. TheChaosStore.com is the place to visit to get your merch from the world's only outlaw funny car series. And there's even exclusive deals online, as in the 3 t-shirts you are seeing right now on your screen. But it's more than just the tees. You can get your Funny Car Chaos stickers, hats, beanies, everything else. World of Funny Car Chaos there at thechaosstore.com. Well, folks, look, be sure to get your FCC swag, and if you're watching, be sure to hit the like button and the share button on the program. David, this weekend, we get to burn Nitro.
That's right. It's an exclusive Nitro burning class for Nitro Chaos. Now, your first actual appearance at a Chaos event where you first took one in, that was Nitro Chaos last year, was it not?
No, I was at what was Nitro Madness the first time around at the Texas Motorplex when Dale Worsham was there. But yes, I was at the first Nitro Chaos. It was a birthday present to myself to go all the way to Iowa to see this congregation of everything imaginable that burns Nitro race it out. And Iowa's known for the Field of Dreams, which is a little further northeast, if I remember correctly, from Oskaloosa and Eddyville Raceway. But it definitely was a drag racing Field of Dreams out of that corn last year, because, I mean, where else are you going to see altered, funny car, top fuel, front engine dragster, injected, blown, whatever? They're all running Nitro and racing. Oh, yes.
It was an absolute kick last year. And of course, Eddyville is such a picturesque little place to go and take in a drag race. It's like a park that also happens to have a drag strip in the middle of it. It is such a really nice spot to go, and looks like we're going to have great weather here as the late spring as we move towards the summertime. But looks like the weather forecast is favoring us. And once again, we've got quite a few Nitro funny cars and a bunch of fuel altereds and a bunch of Nitro dragsters. So it's shaping up to be another outstanding event. And we don't have them on the list yet, but there are some rumblings that some people might be making a last minute entry. So, there's no telling what we might see there this weekend, but it will be fun. It will be a blast. And of course, they always put on a terrific show. Gerald and his team there at Eddyville Raceway Park, they know how to put on a big event. It's one of those places that you go and you can tell they've done this before. It's not like there's things that they haven't seen, haven't thought of. It's a first-class experience. I mean, from the gate when you come in until you leave. And, Bill Naves will back me up right there. And so it's just really going to be so much fun to be there with that great group of people. And, of course, we've got the Wulff Pumps A field. We'll have the format being very similar to Funny Car Chaos. The Quick 8 will be in the Wulff Pumps A field. And then we have VG Motorsports B field, which will be 9 through 16. And we, of course, have several other classes there. We've got 470 door cars. We got 450 open wheel for the dragsters and the altereds. And jet dragsters, of course, will be there. It's always a blast to add that. The Victory Nostalgia Super Stockers will be there. There's a class that's unique to Eddyville, at least I think it is, and they call it Sweet Corn Outlaws. And it's a really unusual deal. You probably remember it from last year, but it is an indexed bracket format where you have a pro tree start, but it's handicapped, and you can't dial like 508. It has to be either 510 or 5 flat. So they go on the tenths, but it makes a real interesting drag race. That's their Sweet Corn Outlaws plus other sportsman racing. There should be a ton of hot rods on the property, and of course they've always got great food there and in just a beautiful setting. So cannot wait to get there, and we'll be racing Friday and Saturday for this second time. So this is the second ever Nitro Chaos, back at the place where the first one was, and this is going to be fun.
It is definitely going to be fun, and from what I understand, unless there is a last-minute entry change, we should expect all first-time winners, and the defending champions are not going to be there. So that is going to be cool to crown brand new winners in this and create new winners and new faces in Victory Lane in the Nitro realm.
It is, talking to Danny there on that previous interview, it is such, it's so much fun to share the excitement of first time trips to the winner's circle in our series, and that is not likely to happen. That it is going to happen because as you mentioned, the defending champions unable to make this to come back and defend their titles. So there's going to be new people in the winner's circle, and it's always a little extra magic whenever something like that happens. So great point there. I'm glad you pointed that out.
David, you're good on recommendations. Like I still am in awe of your recommendation in Amarillo for a good steak. But what do you have around the Oskaloosa, Iowa area? What do you got, man?
Oh, you would put me on the spot, and I don't remember the place. There's a spot. One of the things when you go to Iowa that if you're not from that part of the country that you'll find out is these towns have these beautiful squares. In the downtown of these Iowa communities, they have these fabulous squares. And a lot of times there's gazebos but a lot of greenery, and it's just a perfect place to go and sit out. And a lot of times they'll have concerts in the summertime, and they have gatherings, whenever you announce that you're running for mayor or whatever, all those kind of things take place on the square in these Iowa cities. All around that square are restaurants and shops, and it's not places that you find at the mall. It's unique small businesses, which for people that don't know that much about Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos, we cater to small business. We are about the little guy, and we are about the small teams, and we welcome everybody, absolutely. But we wind up being a hit and a fit for small business. And so you could just about go to any of half a dozen places right around the square in downtown Oskaloosa. And I had lunch the two times I've been there. I had lunch at the same place, and It is right off the square. I wish I could tell you the name of it, but ask around and they'll know, and somebody will be able to tell you, but you could waltz into just anyone. And then there's out west towards the highway, there's an ice cream place, and it looks like a little barn. And so I can highly recommend that one for if you like ice cream and cold treats. They have, I think they're called Utter Delights.
so fitting. So fitting. Yes, so fitting. Well, there you have it, folks. The great recommender, David Rattan himself, sharing with you where to go there near Eddyville Raceway. And I can also say, get some good food at Eddyville Raceway. Like their Frito pie is a great version of Frito pie. You can definitely get some good food at the track. Well, we need to move on. We need to get our second set of guests on and talk with them, David. Let's talk very briefly, though, about Twisted Shifters. What do you got on them, David?
Oh, I thought we were going to commercial.
Well, we will.
Man, we have.
We will, but talk to me about it.
I'm the commercial. Okay.
Yeah, you're the commercial right now.
We have been blessed with Twisted Shifters and 360 Steel coming on. And they're, of course, title sponsors for Nitro Chaos. And we got a chance to meet Darren and his team out there last year. And, of course, we talk about them at each and every race. But Twisted Shifters, custom shift knobs. Now, when you go over to Drag Daddy's garage and you look at those old cartoons magazines that he's got and see the artwork, there's usually a shifter, and it's not a Hearst shifter or Mr. Gasket shifter. It's a custom, and sometimes it'll be a skull. Sometimes it will be something else that's unique. Sometimes it'll be an 8-ball. It may be another different one of those pool ball, billiard balls. But anyway, that custom touch is one of the things that has been a hallmark of street rodders and hot rodders and truckers. If it's got a shift knob and you want it to make it just right for you, where do you get that stuff? Well, I didn't know, but I do now. And it's Twisted Shifters. And it's shifters with a Z. Instead of SHIFTERZ, twistedshifters.com. They have so many different items that you can put on the top of your shifter, whether it's in your car, your street rod. And of course, I'm from back in this may be before your time, Lee, but I'm from back in the days of CB radios. And you would be talking to the truckers on the way down the road, talking about heading down the road and got a set of sticks and got the big rig highballing. Well, you got the set of sticks, you need the custom shift knob. Twisted Shifters is the place, and they have a wide variety that you can view on their website. And if you don't see what you want, you can get in touch with Darren and the team there, and they will make it for you because they do custom. They do everything custom if you need it. They just happen to have come up with a lot of custom work for other people, and that's some of that stuff that can be altered to make it unique to you. But that's a really interesting business there, and they do custom work also at 360 Steel. You talk about the silhouettes. Sometimes if you want your anniversary or your birthday or special occasion, they cut those out of steel. Everything's made in America, shipped anywhere. And they have got an incredible line of products, all custom, all American made, and all of it helps Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos. And they're great friends to us. And so we hope everybody will check them out.
Definitely. We're glad to have them on board. It is so fitting, I feel. And they had such a great setup at Eddyville last year, and I was just looking at all of it, and I'm like, oh, all the colors, they're so shiny, because they are great products, and yes, custom pieces, and they can make whatever you might want for your ride. So go check them out. We'll take a look right now at Twisted Shifters.
Check out Twisted Shifters for the largest selection of made in the USA custom shift knobs and adapters. Made for muscle cars, old and new, hot rods to race cars, and for the big rigs. With our original shift toppers adapter for the air shifters to use any threaded shift knob like the old days. Add custom lettering and logos to make it your own custom shift knob. TwistedShifters.com. We are made in America and we ship worldwide.
Nitro Clown Motorsports in the house. So, Dave Gallegos, welcome. Good to have you on the show. And go ahead and take the platform and introduce the man sitting next to you.
Yeah, that's my son, Joe. Great crew member and best friend and partner in this deal. I'd like to start out by telling Gerald Kramer, thank you for hosting us. We're here at Eddyville now, getting ready, and he was generous to let us come in his office and do this live show with CHAOS Live. So we're glad to be here.
Well, you guys have been part of CHAOS since the beginning, and I very well remember there at North Star Dragway coming over, and in fact, you were one of the first interviews that was ever done on Funny Car CHAOS. So this is kind of a repeat, but it's been quite a few years, and you've got quite a story because this is not your first rodeo by any stretch of the imagination. Dave, you were you started in the 80s, and right up through 2010, you raced locally, but you also chased the national scene, particularly in IHRA Top Fuel. Tell our fans about that.
Yeah, that's I was just like a lot of people. I started out bracket racing. Was a terrible bracket racer. I would either break out first round, buy back, and break out again because I was always fooling with the car, trying to make it go faster. I never could get it in my head that I had to run a number. I was always trying to run a better number. And so lo and behold, I went to buy a trailer for work trailer, and I went to Topeka, which is about 40 minutes from my house, and I met a gentleman who was selling a trailer that worked on a Top Fuel team. And just through some chatter and some chit chat, we started talking, and we had a lot in common. And he was worked for Alan Hartley and Joe Hartley Top Fuel out of Omaha, and he asked me if I wanted to come along, and I told him, yeah, I was interested, because it was a childhood dream to be around nitro cars and Top Fuel and big show stuff. And so I went and did that for about I believe it was about 3 seasons. Kind of slowed down with that team, and then I got invited to go to Galveston, Texas, and I got met up with Mitch King, and Alan was paying us pretty good. We were all getting paid, by the way, and it was a dream come true to do that. But Mitch offered me a position to be one of his head guys and offered me a shot at driving a Top Fuel car. And so I went and paid the dues and worked the team, and he put me in the seat of his bone bucket. At that time, it was one of the baddest fuel altereds on the planet, and it had a lot of respect around the area and in the nation. And so I got in it, made some runs in it, had a good time with that, and then I graduated into one of his Top Fuel cars, and I got about five runs later, I got my license, Milan, Michigan, I believe it was, and the rest is history. I've just been hooked ever since, and was able to drive for another team. Spencer Massey came along about then, and the story about Spencer, won an IHRA World Championship, went on to NHRA. But I went on to another team, which is Bob Leverage Top Fuel, and got to help them get started in IHRA Top Fuel, and was their driver for a season. And that kind of another driver came along with some money, and so I was out of the seat. That's kind of how it works in the big leagues. You have money or you don't, and I didn't have money, so I moved on. But lo and behold, Chris Graves called me, and this seems to be a recurring theme. But he called me and says, "Hey, I know where there's a nitro funny car at, and these guys want to sell it." He says, "Here's their number. It's Sioux City, Iowa. Go on up, take a look at it, see what you think." And I was like, I don't know that I have that kind of money to buy my own nitro big show funny car. But he said, "Just go check it out." And so I drove up there, and it was these guys that were partners with Tim Wilkerson, and they had an ex-Tim Wilkerson car, and at the time it was a 2003 Firebird, all current and ready to go. And so I went up there, and before I left, I had struck up a deal to buy a Nitro funny car, and they were delivering it to my shop in about a month and a half, and it got delivered, and thought we were gonna, just go do it, and it didn't work out that way. The chassis became illegal because of John Force's crash, and I think it was 2010. The NHRA banned all that tubing thickness of chassis, so everybody had to get brand new chassis, and I, as they say, cashed in the cow to buy that one. So I ended up match racing it, and later that next winter sold it to a guy in Australia and got out of it, and really believed I was done racing. I really thought I was done. I was able to, for 6 years, be out of racing, put a couple kids through college, got to go watch some college football, some college track. I enjoyed that with my two oldest. And then lo and behold, the guy next to me said, "Dad, we need to get him racing." He was going through my scrapbooks and said, "Man, because he was just a little kid back then, and so now he's about 15, 16, and he's going through my scrapbooks and saying, 'Hey, we can do this.'" And I'm like, man, I knew how much work it was. It's not about the money, it's the commitment and the work. And we had a big family meeting, and I told him, I said, "Look, let's get an alcohol car. It's not as much work and it's not as much money." And so we ended up all agreeing that was going to be the route, and we went and bought a blown alcohol altered from a guy in California, Bill Wyndham. Good car. It got delivered. We started racing with the Central State Supercharger guys. 2 seasons. Had some success. Won, I think, one event, runner up another. I think we were in top 3 or 4 every year. Just had a great family effort, But lo and behold, every time, a Nitro car would show up, and there was a guy named Lurch Wilkins had this psychotherapy.
Yep.
It's a bad man jam. It's run 370s and 80s, but he'd fired up, and we were all over there just drooling, and just it gets in your blood, and that's just where you're at, and so we, I think I met up with Chris at a national event, and once again, he said, "Man," he goes, "I'm starting this thing called Funny Car Chaos. You need to get a funny car." I'm like, "Man, the last time I bought a funny car, it didn't work out." And so he said, "No, this is happening." And so that was I think it was about 5 months. And we had actually come to Eddyville to the World Fuel Alter Nationals, and I was trying to strike a deal to buy the crop duster from Frank Osley. And that deal kind of fell through. And so we went back home thinking it just wasn't going to happen. And lo and behold, another friend said, "Hey, my friend here in California's got a car. He's willing to make a deal." And so I scrounged up what I could and had some horse trading stuff to give the guy. And they came from California and brought that car to that first event. And we just right out of the box, I think we went some 20s in qualifying. I think we went a 404, 406 to be number 4 or 5. And I lost first round. The car got a little loose, and I lost to Mike Morrell. But we were hooked. The family effort that the show provides with the teams and the camaraderie and people helping each other. It's just what we want to be a part of. And and here we are today, 5 years later, still enjoying it, still attending. And now we have the Nitro Chaos that we have a choice to play with whatever we want. And over the last 2 or 3 years, we've made it so where we can. Joe's got a front engine top fuel car that he's been putting together himself, and it's close. I mean, he doesn't want any dad's help, doesn't want any dad's money, doesn't want any dad's parts, but he's doing it himself, and I'm proud of him. And that's going to be, maybe later this season, we'll get it out and do some testing, but it's exciting. We're happy to be a part of it.
Well, that's unique to hear a son doesn't want daddy's money. Congratulations, Joe. And Joe, you've got your own story. You're a young man, but first of all, thanks for getting your dad back in it, because we're all enjoying the family Gallegos being back in Funny Car Chaos and back in Nitro racing. So thanks for that. But you've paid some dues yourself.
Yeah, I just got to be around a bunch of really cool people, and got to learn a lot, just keeping my mouth shut, my ears open. A lot of cool people telling me shit that, not the average everybody gets to hear. So all the right place, right time, lucky, I guess.
Well, luck is when opportunity and preparedness meet. So you've certainly got some good things going on. Now, Dave, you took a break. You talked about getting the funny car and it didn't work out, but there's more to that story, right? You had your oldest were growing up, and there were sports to chase, and there was college education, there were other things. So that was one of those. You set out for a purpose, right there.
Absolutely. At first it wasn't, because I had the car and it spent a lot of money.
Are we frozen?
You serious? Okay.
Yeah. No, y'all were good. Y'all were good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we had the car and we had plans, and I got a letter from NHRA saying that car will never certify in the United States. And so I kind of panicked. I put it up for sale, and about a week later it was going off to Australia. But then, like I said, it just worked out to the point that my kids both got scholarships, and my oldest son actually even went on to play some arena football, and we traveled all over as a family. And I'd have never, if that thing would have been sitting in my garage, I would have never put, the time in to where it really mattered. And I got to enjoy some things. My oldest son, when he had one game, he was player of the week. He had 2 interceptions, ran them back for touchdowns, and it was amazing. I mean, and then my daughter, the same thing. She was really talented in track, and she's part of our team today. She's our backup girl, and you can tell her, man, she runs up and down that, backup deal like with ease. And so I had to grow into that family man status. In my earlier years, I wasn't very focused on that, but as I've gotten older, I know that that's what's important. I've got grandkids now that come to these chaoses. My kids, I have my oldest son and grandson, they live in Lubbock, Texas, and they're going to races that we're not even going. They're showing up in Odessa the last race. They were in Amarillo. They're hanging out with guys like Mike Buchanan, the Hombre. My grandson, he's got some handful of Matchbox cars that I've given him, and one of them's the old Snake Hot Wheels, the white Army car, and then there's a yellow one, and then there's a blue one. The blue one's Papa's Nitro Clown, and he says it's fast, all right? And he races them on this windowsill, and believe it or not, the yellow car is the Hombre, and he's bilingual, so he speaks in Spanish, and he says that's the one that wins all the time. He thinks Mike Buchanan is John Force. It goes Mike Buchanan, it's the Snake, and then Grandpa Gallegos in that order. That's how this funny car chaos family grabs you. They treat my kids even like family when I'm not even there. It's such a great experience.
That is really fun to hear. Now, you had this experience with Mitch King years ago, and I know that was always all business, and y'all would never let your hair down or anything like that. But Chapter 2 comes along at State Capitol Raceway, and there's a couple of top fuel dragsters sitting there with a Nitro Clown driving one of them. That had to be well, I guarantee you it was a thrill for everybody at State Capitol Raceway that was not in the car, but I bet it was pretty much fun for the guy behind the butterfly.
Oh, absolutely. We got a theme going this year. It's called Living the Dream. And I never thought in a million years that I'd be back in the top fuel cars that I drove, 15 years ago. And this winter, Mitch gave me a call and he said, actually, as a matter of fact, there's another example. He showed up to hang out with us and Scott Palmer last year at this race. And he left here so fired up. He had been out of racing, sold all his stuff for like 5 or 6 years. And he was so fired up and excited that he left from here, drove right to the guy's house from here back to Galvin or back to LaGrange, Texas, and went to the guy's house and bought all his stuff back. And he said, man, I'm coming out there and I'm going to get the bone bucket back and we're going to come race with you guys. He was fired up. And so, like I say, this winter he called and he said, let's put together a deal. Let's get something going. He goes, I'm going to try to get some licensing runs for some other people. He bought a second car with a bigger cage, which is the one I drove. The deal fell through with that particular person. And he said, hey, I want you in the seat, and that's a tip to me and him. And putting that together and man, going to Baton Rouge, I tell you, I really had planned on trying to race my car. And I'm glad it didn't happen because I was able to absorb that and share that experience with my family and really, put a full effort into that. And I think we gave the crowd everything that they wanted. I tip my hat to Donnie Bender, and you guys well know who he is. He's tuned Dom Perdome championships and Bernstein, and now he's working with Mitch. But the cars there were having a hard time getting down the track. And I really didn't have a lot of confidence thinking them cars were going to go. And man, when it left, it stuck, and I'm like, it's on. Especially the first night, it was kind of dark, so it was kind of like, not knowing what to expect. I don't want it to blow up. I don't want to smoke the tires. I'm a little nervous because this isn't my stuff, but they stuck. And then the second night, he said, man, you can drive a car. And that really gave me a boot of confidence to say, hey, he says, I want you to take it to the finish line. If it feels good and it's laying you in the seat, just drive it. And Mitch gave me the nod, say, hey, I'm going to do the same. And we did. And long story short, we're kind of now working on some deals for the Stampede of Speed and the World Finals there in October. We might be doing some licensing runs. I know he's going to match race, I think, Scott Palmer on that Monday night. He wants me to get an NHRA license. And so we're going to work on that and see what comes up. And you just never know. You just never know. I'm excited to go chase this Funny Car Chaos deal as much as we can. We're kind of limited to our mid states, the middle of the United States. Our plans are to go to Cordova after this if everything goes good. We're going to go to Mocan for the next Chaos. We're going to go to Kearney. I've got a great sponsor up there, and he, we're going to go try to put on a good show for him there. So we try to do as much as we can, and I wish we could do it all. Just life is, got to take and do what's important, which is there's a lot of family stuff we do too. Plus work. Plus
someone got to lay all the brick.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's got to lay that brick, because laying that brick is probably what makes the rest of this world go round.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's a great lesson there for a lot of people, in that having your own business and having something that will pay you even if you're not there every single day, because you have people that you can count on, helps to make the dream work. You talk about living the dream. You've built the dream. You've built the machine that will allow you to chase this. What a fascinating point of view, and a great story about hanging out at Nitro Chaos and Funny Car Chaos, and the camaraderie, the friendships, and people showing up and going, man. And we hear this a lot, actually. This is a blast, and they want to come back. And so, thank y'all for what you've done in inviting people to become a part of it. And then as they experience it, to want to become an even bigger part of it, because, we all see that, but when we see it from other people too, it really confirms that there's a little special brand of magic going on here. And we're so excited that you guys have been a part of it for so long.
Absolutely. Like I said, we last 5 years, we got to know Fred Farndon before he passed away, got to be real good friends with him. We lent him parts to get to a final. And you would think that in all his career, he'd have been in some finals. That was the first final round he had ever been in his whole career. And he was just as nervous as I've ever been. And you would have think, he had just been a pro, but he was excited, man. And he was nervous, and he wanted to put on a good show. And he ended up running up, but still we helped him there. We pull into these races, and I'm parked across the street from the Blue Max, and I'm just as giddy as a 12-year-old kid. I mean, I'm like, man, that's the Blue Max, and we're in the staging lanes, and there's Del Worsham, a couple pairs over from us. And, those big names and those historical guys, we've had Brent Fanning come along and help us get our tune-up straight and give us some great advice and show us how to race a car and have a budget and those kind of things. And Dale Pooley, I've had dinner with him, the War Eagle. I could go on just these names, and those names are big, but it's the little names like Jeff Cameron, great people, great family. He puts on that great big party every Thursday, gets a band out there, food. You just got great people, and it's something that if it's magic in a bottle, Chris has got it. And I hope he hangs on to it. I hope he keeps this small town vibe, which you talked about, the small town vibe, because that's what this has. It's a great venue for us to come out and play. We can announce a little news. There's quite some rumors. We do have a car being put together. It's a 2020 Hellcat body and chassis from Tony Stewart Racing. We purchased the parts. It's being assembled at a shop in Brownsburg, and it's precision built race cars. Joe Fitzpatrick and Dan Murphy. They've been putting chassis together in some of the other shops, pro shops there, but now they have their own business. So we're giving them the opportunity to help us out, and they're doing a great job. We got Alex Conway at TSR's helping us with rounding up all the parts that we need. We're gonna put together a big show car, and we're gonna come with Funny Car Chaos in mind. If I can get a sponsor to race next year, the big show ain't gonna see us. It's gonna be Funny Car Chaos. I want to win one of these. I really do, and it's coming. It's coming. We've got great people helping us out, and a great crew, great camaraderie with our crew has really gelled together. We've got Randy Remy and Veronica Remy, aka Shaggy. He's come on this year, helping us out. Adib Bustos, he does all our media stuff. He's got videos on the YouTube now that got like 80,000 views. Yeah. It's amazing. We got 80,000 people watching us, and so we're excited. We're real happy to be here.
That is great. Joe, you've been doing some driving. You turn a lot of wrenches, but you've done some driving too. We got to see you at Kearney do a little driving. We're going to see some more Joe behind the wheel.
Maybe later at the end of this year, we'll see though. When we had the alcohol car all put together, we were getting a bunch of laps in. My dad said I was a little too hard on it, burn it up a little bit. So we kind of pushed it in the back shop of the corner, and main focus is the funny car, just getting down more laps down the track, and more times you go, the more you learn, the faster it goes. So that's what we've been all of our concentration has been on, just the funny car and the fuel altered, and building my car too at the same time. So we got a lot of stuff on the burner right now, probably too much more than what we need, but you know how that goes.
Absolutely. Well, I love your vision. You guys both have got a great vision for what you want to do. Like you said, living the dream. I used to write a column in the Texas Raceway News. That's what I called it, was living a dream. And because I feel the same way, and I still do. Getting to hang out with you guys and the Puldeys and the Worships and all those guys that you mentioned. I mean, and all of the Mike Buchanans and the Ray Stringers and the Nick Polisons and all of those guys and gals that are such an integral part of what we've got going on here. It is a thrill to look forward to, and then to get to the racetrack and experience it. And Lee, you ever heard anything like this?
Well, yes, because it's good news, and I've heard good news before that they're doing all that they are doing, and we're going to be seeing them soon. And what a wonderful story of out and in and back and family in drag racing and experiencing it all. Before we let you all go, the boss man sent me a photo, and I want to try to figure out what timeline in your story this photo is. Which car is this?
Yeah, so that's the Tim Wilkerson LRS car that we bought up at Sioux City that Chris kind of pointed me into that direction. And we took it down to Denton. That picture's Denton. We got booked in to match race it a few times. And man, I tell Chris now that was a 310 mile an hour car, in 2009. And I wished I had that today, because I know every inch of that car, because we just went through every inch of that car like 50 times. And it was a great experience, and I was able to let it go. And like I said, I got rewarded for it, because I got to see and do some things that I probably wouldn't have got to do if that would have stuck around in my garage. So.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, this is last year, I believe, actually Q1 of Nitro Chaos at Eddyville, your Nitro Clown machine in altered trim. And then here it is in funny car trim, good looking Camaro bodied funny car. Last question I've got for you two is what's the challenges from going from ultra trim to funny car trim?
Well, the weight's a little different, so you got to put a little more weight on the front end, and then the clutch is a little different too as well. It reacts different, but other than that, it's pretty much the same parts and pieces. It's just fine tuning and finding that happy spot of how the body and the chassis wants to react. And Eddyville here has a great facility, a great track that it offers at the hit all the way down through the shutdown area, just a prime real estate, as they say. It's the people here are great, and the facility is safe. Scott Palmer proved that. He went 265 right in front of me. We were number 2 last year, and I watched the number come up, and I knew he was on a good lick. And we ran ours. We were number 2 qualifier, and we were happy with that because we'd been kind of previous year struggling, but we've kind of found our way and found what we want to do and how we want to do it, and it's reacting. And so I hope we can just plug that in, the similar conditions. So I think I'll plug in the information we did last time and go up there and see what happens. So we're excited. We're glad we're here.
Was that a career best on that car at Nitro Chaos last year? Because it was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely was. That was our best lick ever. So we've been, it seemed like up until that point we had run some 80s. I think it was in Wichita. We ran an 89 there first. We'd been running good numbers early on, but things kept breaking. So we'd have like a 410 or 420 and then we'd have to struggle while everybody else is still qualifying, trying to put the parts or find the parts to put it back together to get up for round 1. So we'd always get bumped down to where we were just in maybe number 1 or 2 in the B field and go up there first round and either smoke the tires, or last year was my driving. I was either a day late or a day early. And so I couldn't put it together because I was focused on so many other things. But like I say, at the end of the last year, middle to the end, and then this year, my reaction times are good. Dallas was kind of upsetting because the Q1 we had a little mishap with the light not getting turned on. We were the first pair out, so we had to push back, refuel up, cool down, and then we went out there and it broke the track was so killer that it sheared the rear output shaft completely in half. So luckily we had a spare tranny, put that in, was missing a part, somebody lent us. We got up there for Q2, and then that Q2, our numbers were just as good as Levi Keenan's, all the way to 330, and he went a 37 or 387, and it broke the mag drive and backfired. And then we found out the next morning that we had hurt the crank a little bit because of the heat we had put in it first round. So we opted not to go up there with the wounded crank, and we sent it off and was hopefully to get it back. We've got it back now, so we're ready. But everything else checks out. We're, like I said, we should be right where we left off with them 380s and 70s, hopefully.
Well, that should put you in good shape as one of the favorites for this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. There's some big hitters that can lay down some big numbers, but you have to come here and you have to do it. It's like anything else. You can race them on paper, but man, once you travel the highways and get it here, weird things happen. I've seen it firsthand. So we just count our blessings to be here. We're amongst friends, and we're gonna have a good time no matter what.
Yep. Wow. Well, what a great time chatting with you two gentlemen. Thank you for spending some time with us and putting that Nitro Clown story out there for everybody else to get some insights into what makes your world go round. And we thank you for all you do that helps make our world go round. What a great time, Lee.
Definitely great time. Guys, make sure you follow the team at Nitro Clown Motorsports. They are putting out some good content, and you've got one heck of a cool gang over there. Make sure you are following them. Guys, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Big fans, guys, both of you.
Thanks.
Keep up the good work.
that was the second run of the match race between Dave and Mitch King there at State Capitol Raceway. So cool to see top fuelers blasting down the strip there at that historic facility. And it's good to hear that they are having all the good things happen in Nitro Clown Motorsports right now. David, though, Funny Car Chaos, we're going soon to one of the most historic drag strips on the planet.
Yeah, we are. The next Funny Car Chaos event is going to be at Cordova. Man, I tell you what, Lee, you got me jazzed up here with that top fuel run right there. That was so good. I may not sleep tonight, man. But yeah, we're going to Cordova. They have got so much history right there. What a place! And under new ownership, and they are really working hard to put on a phenomenal show in 2 weeks there at their Summer Nationals. And we're thrilled to have Funny Car Chaos be the marquee group for that particular event. But something new coming on at that particular event. It's an exhibition event. It's non-points, but the jet funny cars actually get to compete with the wheel-driven funny cars at the Summer Nationals at Cordova coming up in a couple of weeks. That'll be a first, and I can hardly wait to see that.
Yes, just yes. Bring it on. That's what I love about Chaos. Yes.
When Chris first indicated that was an option, I had my old, I'm a rule follower, and I was like, can you do that? So then he comes out and he says, we checked, and it's not against the rules anyway. So yeah, bring him on. Well, an invitation was apparently all some of these guys needed, because we didn't get one. I think there's 4 that have signed up to come race in competition and race for that Rodak A field or the Alkydigger B field or the Wulff Pumps C field crown. It's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. It will be fun. So I'm looking forward to that, along with Nitro Chaos this weekend. Of course, all of it will be on flowracing.com. And for those who are not already subscribers to flowracing.com, be sure and get yourself signed up for that. The replays, I have people tell me all the time, and when I see stuff on the replays, there's things that I see that I missed, and I was there for the whole cotton picking thing. And but it's so much fun not only to watch it. If you can be at the event, be there by all means. There's nothing like being there in person, but there's also nothing like going back and seeing what you saw in person, because there's added perspectives that you probably didn't get, because there's times that you had to go to the concession stand, or you had to go stretch your legs or something, and you missed something. But Flow Racing doesn't miss much, because Warren Evans makes sure that we don't miss much. And, James and Kathy and all of our great media staff that put that out, it is really, really a quality production. And it was so great to see the feedback from Odessa as to we continually improve that the product that's being put out there. So, Larice Motorsports Insurance is making that available, and our fans getting a chance to see that. So be there. Yeah, be there. I know that's what we say. Be there at Nitro Chaos at Eddyville this weekend, and then Cordova in 2 weeks. A couple of racetracks a couple hours apart, and but bringing a show that you just will never forget. And I'm so excited. I'm heading out tomorrow, and can't wait to get there and join the Gallegos bunch, Nitro Clown bunch. They're already there, and other teams are on their way. And we hope that all the fans of Funny Car Chaos and of Chaos Live will be there and come up. We'll get a chance to shake hands and talk a little racing and have a lot of fun, because that's what we do at Chaos. Is, Chris said it, having fun is rule number 1. So We'll make sure that happens.
There you go. Follow rule number 1 for sure. And yes, definitely subscribe there to Flow Racing. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel for Funny Car Chaos. Extra content is there as well. And you might even find us streaming for free occasionally there, so you can catch some action from time to time there on Funny Car Chaos YouTube channel. Be sure you are following and you have liked the Facebook page, and you're also following on Instagram. Great content from the chaos world across the board. David, I'm looking forward to seeing you sometime tomorrow there at Eddyville. I'll be traveling down myself. Cannot wait for what we have in store for us this weekend. And if you're out there and you're debating, be like me last year. Buy a plane ticket and go to Iowa. It is the drag racing field of dreams for sure.
It really is, man. You know, the interviews tonight have driven a point home that I wanted to share before we go. And crazy times create opportunities for unparalleled success. Keep your eyes and your mind wide open for good things, because it's happening. We'll see you at the races.
It's the Summer National, presented by Twisted Shifters and 360 Steel. Friday and Saturday, June 17th and 18th. Cordova Dragway, for the first time, with flame-throwing jets racing methanol and nitro-gulping funny cars of the Chaos series. Plus insane nitro Harleys and more. Cordova Dragway, Friday, June 17th, with 2 pro rounds at 7 p.m. And Saturday, June 18th, racing all day with feature show at 6 p.m. Free parking and pit passes with admission. Get advance tickets at cordova.tracksideapp.com and be there.